SeizYourBusiness.com podcast with Tony Rourke and Kevin O'Flaherty.
SeizYourBusiness.com, making you money.
Share it on Facebook, share it on LinkedIn,
Twitter, our blogs, YouTube videos, listen to our podcast, getting so hot that it's burning up the stereo.
Welcome to the SeizYourBusiness.com podcast. I'm your host, Kevin O'Flaherty from O'Flaherty Law. I'm joined today by my guest, Brad Harker from Founders, Inc. He's the author of the book, Laws of Influence, and our topic today is going to be leveraging influence. And you can find all sorts of content on his website, bradharker.com. Did I get the website right, Brad?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. Well, thanks for your time today. I appreciate you joining us. This is our first remote interview, so if I'm a little bit uncomfortable with the format, I apologize, but I think it should go smoothly. Tell us a little bit about what you do and your experience in the business world.
Sure. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Going back, I think if I go back even to my teenage years, I think I was always a fairly entrepreneurial mind, driven by the ability to have some extra cash in my pocket when I was a kid. I grew up in Canada, so I can remember shoveling walks before I could drive and starting a landscaping business when I was actually, I think I was about 16 years old. So I've always been very entrepreneurially minded, and I think if I was to be honest, I focused a lot on the elements of communication and the people aspect. The more I interacted with people, the more I seemed to enjoy what I was doing. So over the course of about 20 years, I pursued a lot of different endeavors, a lot of different companies. Over almost 10 different companies I was part of in my career. And what I found is I always gravitated to roles where I was involved in selling of some sort. I got into real estate. And over the course of my career, I sold over $250 million worth of various products and services, ranging from lemonade to lawn care contracts, all the way to hotels and small companies. And I've really enjoyed quite a diverse background. One of the things that's, I guess, the diversity has really been the function of me trying to find my niche in my career. And I spent a lot of time moving and trying to adapt just to really find that place where I felt like I was in my element and finding my niche and what I did. And so I've really gravitated towards the sales and the influence that down through that career, but it's been a really exciting road. It all culminated a few years ago when I decided to sit down and really put together some of these thoughts and things that I'd come together with. And I wrote the book, The Laws of Influence, and the tagline is Mastering the Art of Sales, Leadership, and Change. And it was really, for me, the turning point where I decided that it was time to take some of this experience and this excitement that I had had and just figure out how I can create value for other people and really start to give back, which has always been the underlying passion of consulting and mentoring people and things that I've come and discovered in my career.
So tell me about what you've got going on your website, bradharker.com.
So basically what I do, my typical clients are not necessarily sales-oriented organizations. And one of the things that I've discovered in my career is I moved from direct sales to real estate and actually raising capital and doing private equity. One of the things that I discovered was that regardless of what we do and regardless of what our role or profession is, we are all involved in some form of influence. And you can call it selling. I look at it as maybe a broader way to say we all are active in the art of influence. We sell something every single day of our lives, whether we think we are or not. And so I've discovered that there were common things that people would do, entrepreneurs, successful sales executives, that really help them master or demonstrate this ability to influence and therefore have an effect on their production and the results. And so for me, the book and the website have really been my way to start putting out content to help other people that may be attorneys, that may be financial planners. It doesn't matter. What are the things that I can adopt in my particular niche that are, in accordance with my natural strengths and my natural abilities to become incredibly influential in what I do, to ultimately realize my potential and leverage the skills that I have. And so the website is really, for me, it's just a hub. It's where you can go. You can buy the book on the website. You can also go there. I've got some exciting programs. I've got a sales primer course that's coming out next month, and it's going to be a 4-part webinar that's designed to walk anybody and everybody through a traditional, well, I guess it's a customized sales model that applies to businesses and to salesmen as well.
So you have a podcast too, don't you? I think whoever I was speaking to from your staff said that you guys have a podcast going on.
Not yet. That's coming. I just participated. Outlier Online is probably the podcast you're referring to. I do a lot of work with Ever over there. Podcast is coming down the road, though.
Okay, great. So what was the process of writing this book like for you? How long did it take? Were there some major roadblocks either in the writing or the getting it published process? And tell me about what the experience of writing a business book was like.
Well, my ACT score suggests that I rank in the bottom quarter of every university that I applied for when I went there. So I would probably say that not sleeping through all your English classes is maybe a good idea. I unfortunately was never a student of English. I just struggled with all the rules and laws. So it's kind of funny, but the one thing that I did have is I was always hungry and passionate to understand what makes people successful? What are the differences between people that are great and people that are average? And I just paid close attention. I bought a lot of books, and I read a lot of books. Beyond my textbooks, I was always hungry. And over the course of 15 or 20 years, I just wrote down a lot of thoughts. And when it came up to the time where I said, it's time to put a platform together, that's actually how it started. I wasn't intending to write a book. And I just said, I'm going to write down some thoughts. If I was to get up and if I was to speak to a group of people, what would I want to talk about? Where am I most passionate and what's my message? And it was at that point that I just started realizing all of this content that was in my mind or was written in old journals, and I just started putting it together, and I laid down an outline of what is my message, and I couldn't stop writing. And so I very quickly realized that this was becoming more than just a platform. And so I wrote, and it probably took me 4 months to just regurgitate everything I felt like I knew according to the outline that I put together. And once I had that, I had probably about 250 pages of content done. It was unbelievable. It was quite an experience because I just couldn't stop writing.
Yeah, that's a lot of pages in 4 months. That's
a lot of pages in 4 months. And then I found an editor, and that was the exciting part. My first editor told me that my book it had potential. She says it was like a tomato garden that was overrun with weeds. And she says, you've got a lot of work. So I actually went through 3 different editors. One was more of a developmental, how do you structure the book so it's exciting, it's entertaining, it's readable. And then just various kind of more into the detail type editing styles until I got to the final copy. But the whole process took me almost a year. But if I'm being honest, it took me 15 years really just to kind of formulate the thoughts and ideas that ultimately went into the book.
Now, did you self-publish or did you go through a publisher?
So I hired a coach, and I'll give him a plug here, PatrickSnow.com. Patrick, I found him as I was just finishing the book. And my goal with the book wasn't to become just a known author. I was leveraging this book as a platform, as a tool that I could leverage and teach from. And so Patrick, I hired him as a coach, and he was amazing at helping me position the book to serve my consulting business. And what are some of the avenues that you should look at if you're going to write a book with the intention of becoming a consultant and a professional and an expert in that space. And so I found a publisher, Viva Publishing, which is a great New York publishing house that allows you and gives me the freedom and the control to manage the book and not feel like I've got to ask permission to sell my own book or to give it away. And so he was really good at steering me in the right directions to publish the book, to have that high-quality New York look and feel, but still to feel like you owned your product and you had something that you could use and sell at your leisure.
So in 15 minutes here, try to distill some of the best points from the book or tell me what you know about leveraging influence. What's the book about and what are some of the things you've learned in your 15 years?
Awesome. Okay. So the book was the first section of the book, and this is really probably the most important thing for the audience that I'm really trying to reach, and that's people that they communicate, they influence, they are interacting with people as part of their daily business, and they want to feel like they want more control. They want that ability to feel confident in their conversations and their ability to sell their product or influence the people that they associate with. And so the first section of the book really is about challenging perceptions, the common perceptions that I wasn't born a salesman, so I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to avoid any opportunity that I have to stand in front of a group of people or represent an idea. I'm going to avoid that. And it really focuses you to look internally and say, what do I do and why? How is influence part of what I do? And realizing that everything that has been accomplished in our history has been a function of some form of influence. And you don't need to be an extrovert. You don't need to be a particular type of person, a Donald Trump in real estate, or to really become successful in what you want to do. The key, and this is really where we tie into the first of the 4 attributes of influence, is purpose. You've got to start with that understanding of what do I want to do with my life, and what is it that I feel like I'm called and compelled to do in my life. If I was to do this for the rest of my life, I would be so happy. And that's where we start to realize your purpose and passion. The biggest question is, why do you want to do that? So yet, for the audience that's listening, the question is, what do you do and how did you get into the profession that you're in? And then the next question is, why are you there? What is it that keeps you going in that? And then the final question is, if you could work for free, if you didn't need money for the rest of your life, would you still do what you're doing every single day? And as the answer becomes more and more closer to a yes, I love what I do, I would do it for free, then you start to realize that you're in line with your purpose. Mark Twain, one of my favorite quotes, said the 2 most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. So the first section is purpose, and that's really getting clear on who am I, what should I be doing, and why do I want to be doing this for the rest of my life. The second one is initiative. And one of the things that I did to really, when I speak and when I consult with groups, I have a framework. And it really starts, just like I said, with adopting an understanding of why and what is my purpose and why do I do that. The next step that every business owner faces is I've got to get myself out there in front of my audience. In the sales world, every time we make a pitch or we present ourselves to another group, we have to create rapport. We've got to break down those barriers and reach our audience. And so what are the things that we can do to facilitate rapport in our lives? How do I become a better communicator? How am I able to reach my audience in all the noise that's out there and all the different ways that my audience is being pulled and pushed? How can I create meaningful rapport with them so that I have an opportunity to create value for them? The next step is the most important in the sales process is discovering your audience. What does my audience care about? So if I'm an attorney, what are their biggest needs? What are their biggest issues that they're facing? What are they looking for in an attorney? What is the relationship that's most valuable to them? And I think when it comes to salesmen, when it comes to executives, one of the biggest weaknesses that we have is an inability, or perhaps we just forget to really try and discover the needs of those that we're serving or those that we're working with. Once we've established that discovery, the next thing is it's all about creating value. And how we talk to businesses, and I say, if you are trying to make a difference in your business, maybe to become more profitable, maybe to increase your competitive advantage, I think the typical thing that companies do is they look for, where can I trim costs and how do I generate a little bit more revenue? And I love to share the perspective that the true measurement of business and success is value creation. And so what can you do instead of how many people do I need to downsize or get rid of in my company to become more profitable, or how much do I need to raise my price to hit that break-even point? Ask yourself, how can I create more value for the people that are buying from me? What are some of the things that I can do to be more valuable to my audience? And you'll find that success, income, wealth, those are all byproducts of value creation. And it's such a great perspective because I think everybody that's listening can say, okay, I understand what I do, and I understand what my product is, I understand what my service is, but how is that, or why is that valuable to the people that are buying it? And what can I do to increase that value? And so once you focus on the value creation, I think a lot of dynamics change for your business.
Go ahead. I apologize. Go ahead.
No, please.
Well, it seems like from what you've said, everything is very teachable, except for the creating rapport. That's the one that's most of an art, I think, of everything, from purpose, creating value. You can strategize about that. It seems the hardest thing is cutting through the noise and getting people to want to talk to you and hear your value proposition. Do you have any tips for how someone who's just starting in sales can learn to create that rapport and differentiate themselves from everyone else that's peddling a product?
I'm glad you asked that question. The good news is that there is. And I think one of the biggest things that people naturally lead with is this feeling that I need to, if I want to create rapport and be a little bit more magnetic as a person, I've got to be somebody different. But there are some awesome strategies and tips, and that's what the second section of the book is social aptitude. And it's what are the habits and the things that I can do to replicate, to pattern and model people that have been successful to become more socially aware, more socially skilled, and to be able to create that rapport that you're talking about. And so I'll give you an example. The best conversationalists are the people that are the best listeners. And so if you want to become a better communicator, don't feel like you've got to become and get comfortable talking if you're not. You'd be surprised at how good of a communicator you can be by just asking great questions. One of the things that I was taught early in my career, and I think it actually stems from the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, but you need to imagine everybody that you talk to, and they've got 4 letters inscribed on their forehead, and it's MMFI.
And make me feel important.
Make me feel important. Yeah, you got it. And if you actually begin a conversation, let's take this conversation, for example, and if I was really trying to figure out how do I make you feel important, what are the things that I need to understand about you as a person to help you feel like that you're being heard, like you're being important, that's naturally going to facilitate great conversation. And again, it comes down to questioning and just a kind of a desire to understand the person that you're with. That's what facilitates rapport, is when you feel like there's a mutual respect for each other, that desire to understand the other person's position. Not somebody that's really well-spoken, incredibly magnetic, and exciting and vibrant to talk to. That often can turn people away if there's no rapport. It doesn't matter. As long as you feel like I can listen to this person, get information from them, rapport will naturally come as a byproduct.
One of the things that was a game changer for my business, it kind of bridged the gap between creating value and creating a rapport, was when instead of just going in networking groups and saying, I'm an attorney, let's, cross-refer with each other, we started up a private speakeasy and started throwing parties there. We started a podcast and starting adding value to people that way, starting to put on seminars that were actually fun. And it made us a little bit magnetic. So we didn't really, if you want to use us for law, great. But you just want to be around us in the community because there's always something fun going on. And that, when you said cut through the noise, that really helped us cut through the noise and differentiate ourselves from other, all the other attorneys out there at networking groups. So I think you're onto something.
Well, to your point, in that, that's one way that you can reach your audience, right, and get rid of that noise. Another really easy strategy to start building rapport with your audience is to be known as an expert. And so if you let's say that you just start publishing content, and this is creating huge value, right? And you start publishing content that's available to your audience that you may feel like you're giving something away, but what you're doing is you're just introducing yourself to them in a way that you're comfortable and letting them know that, hey, I'm an expert in this space, I'm available, and I'm going to give you tidbits that are going to help you because I know that as that creates value, you're going to want to come back to the source and get more of that information from me. So there's so many strategies that you can start to use without feeling this need to become an extrovert or something other than your natural skilled self to start creating rapport with your customers and reaching them in their environment in a way that creates immense value for them.
What are some of the mistakes that you see salespeople making that are easily correctable?
What I see a lot of salespeople do is they lead with their product. And, they get sold on whatever it is that they're doing, which is important, obviously, but they lead with their title. They lead with their sales, their product that they're selling in hopes that it's going to be what drives the transaction. And so, they just kind of, all they do is they focus on, you've probably heard the term overselling. And so they just lay out all of the features and all of the benefits of what it is that they offer, what their service or product is. and hope at some point the customer's going to say, oh, you're right, I do want this. This is exactly what I needed. And it never happens that way. In fact, all that overselling just saps the conversation of any rapport and eventually starts raising up more concerns and flags for the customer. So the way to combat that is, again, it's just to focus. Every good sales interaction needs to start first with a discovery. And it's your ability to look at the nonverbal things, the situation around you, and see what you can observe about their needs, but ultimately to just discover their needs and get to know the customer. And there's two great questions you can ask them. Say, what is going on that's great right now in your situation? What's working? What are some of the great things that are going on? And the next question is, what could be better? What are some of the things that we could do to improve your current situation as it pertains to my product? You know, that kind of thinking, that line of questioning is really geared to get to the idea of what do they want. Because nobody cares what you offer unless it creates value for them. And so I think, and this applies beyond just sales, don't lead with your title and who you are and what you've accomplished, because it's not going to create rapport and it's not going to sell anything. But lead with what the customer is looking for. What are they into? What's important? What's valuable to them? And they'll start to open up to you. You'll create that rapport, and you'll start to see where your product can meet that need and create that value.
What's some advice that you would give to someone who's just beginning in sales and hasn't really gotten a snowball of, you know, the referral partners? They don't have any groups that they're a member of. They're just trying to get the ball rolling and getting frustrated by not getting, you know, immediate results, which almost never happen in sales. Do you have any advice for, you know, the greenhorn salesperson that's, you know, a way to accelerate the snowball effect?
Sure. Number one, seek counsel. Great quote, Archimedes said, it's easier to copy a genius than to create mediocrity. So who can you leverage? Who can you rely on or find that can help you get past those initial barriers to entry that beset most people in sales? That's number one. And obviously there's a lot of great resources out there. My sales primer course will be coming out next month, and it's a great tool to walk anybody through those initial steps. Rather than finding a 250-page book on how to sell, focus on the brass tacks, the basics, the things that you can replicate and start immediately to kick off your sales in the right way. But here's probably the biggest thing that stops most people from succeeding in sales, and it's an incorrect perspective of adversity and the fact that, you know, I think people come into the sales world and they think I've got to sell everybody. And those initial rejections, those initial no's are so destructive. They just destroy their confidence and their belief in their own product. And so one of the things that I talked about in my book in the last section is it's called reframing failure. And it's taking the adversity that we have and using it to your advantage and realizing that ultimately, yes, I'm responsible for not selling that person. But maybe I shouldn't have tried so hard to sell that person. Maybe that I need to look at them and say, on a scale of 1 to 10, they're at like a 1 or a 2. And the amount of time that it might take for me to get that person over the edge to see the value is not the best use of my time. And I might find a whole bunch of 4s, 5s, 6s, and 7s that are a lot more ready and able to move forward. And so it's realizing that I may not be able to sell everybody, and that's okay. And I'm going to get those no's, but I'm going to reframe the natural tendency I have to take that as a failure, as a weakness, and see what can I learn from that? How can I use this to my advantage? And the ones that succeed are always able to come home at the end of the day. They look in the mirror and they say, I owned my day-to-day. This is all me. But I made some mistakes, but I'm going to learn from those. I'm not going to let them get me down. And it's powerful and absolutely the freedom that comes from being able to reframe your failure and see the natural adversity that we face, especially in sales, which is a very, very tough environment to survive. But once you break past that and see that, yeah, I'm going to get a lot of no's, I'm going to get a lot of rejection, but it's not going to affect me emotionally, it's not going to affect me at all. I'm going to just push past those, learn from them, and go after the gold. And that's probably the biggest differentiator that I've seen in people that succeed and people that fail.
One of our guests from a previous episode, and I forget who it was, said that rather than trying to go for a certain number of yeses in a given day, their goal was to shoot for, I want to get 20 no's today. Because if they get 20 no's, then they're probably going to get 5 yeses. And it's just kind of looking at it not as, not being attached to the result so much as being attached to running your system and making the calls you need to make, making the contacts you need to make. And if you do that enough, if you have the numbers there and evaluate your losses as well as your wins and find ways to get better and better at doing it, success is almost inevitable.
Yeah, you make a great point there. You said the word process. And I found that the one thing that can help you overcome sales, being a rookie in sales or not having the sales skill or the aptitude built up yet, the one thing that can help you is good process, because it's a contact sport. Whether you're selling or you're working in any other environment where you're influencing or working with people, good process, replicating things that work, and just, keeping that going is a great way. Eventually, you're going to find the people that buy. As you get better, you just increase the size of your funnel. The more people that you're able to close come into that funnel, and you just constantly get better and better. And that's the beautiful thing about selling and influencing is it's an art form. It's something that you always improve, you always get better, and it's always changing. But if you've got good process, good habits that are built around your business, you're going to find success. And you just got to look at how do I view the things that don't go well and leverage those to my advantage, not to my detriment.
So, Brad, are there any other nuggets of wisdom from your book or your years of experience that you want to share before we let you go?
No, I think the last one that I think everybody, regardless of sales or otherwise, is an assumptive mindset. And it's really kind of ties into the closing aspect of my sales model. You probably heard the expression, always be closing, right? We've always got to be closing. And, the people that we're talking about earlier, the ones that lead out with their product and they just drop all the nuggets and then they ask the customer if they're interested, never get that sale because they never created value. But to somebody that has that mindset, my end goal is to make the sale happen, or my end goal is to hit a certain goal this year. The people that succeed in sales always have a very firm and a very clear objective. And they believe in that objective. They know exactly why they're going there and what they're going to get when they get there. And people that have that assumptive mindset in selling are always looking for ways to close or opportunities to close. They don't feel like they've got to go through steps 1 through 10 before they're allowed to start closing. If the customer is interested at the beginning, they close the customer at the beginning. If you've got a client that's interested in a particular product you offer, you don't have to go through the necessary steps that you would normally gone through. You've got to figure out what's going to be valuable to them and then make it happen. And so an assumptive mindset is a powerful tool regardless of what your profession is. Always seeing yourself as somebody that's going to succeed, is succeeding, is already on your path to success, and just gathering more tools, more experience to make that even better. But assumptive mindset is a powerful tool. Always be closing and figure out what is it in your life that is your goal. What are you striving for? And do I truly believe that I can get there, or am I just doing my best? And the people that know that they're going to realize that in their lives they're going to get there are the ones that make it happen, because it's that confidence in themselves and that belief that they can do it that really drives and makes them success.
Well, thanks so much for your time today, Brad, and for all your words of wisdom. If someone wants to either buy your book or get in touch with you for consulting, how can they reach you?
Best way to go is to go to bradharker.com. I also love to, my publishing coach taught me, this is actually the reason I called him. He always throws out a cell phone number at the end of the shows that he does. And so if anybody out there is interested in having a better understanding of how can I leverage influence in my life, how can I start to use these tools, obviously the best way to do that is to buy the book and dig in. That book is going to challenge everything for you. And it's going to really bring you face to face with the decisions that you've made in your life that are either supporting or help keeping you from your success and your potential. So buy the book. That's a great place to start. I'm available, and I definitely provide a lot of coaching both in sales and personal to help people leverage that influence in their lives and really find the areas where they're not, maybe they're out of alignment with the things that they should be doing. I would love to spend some time on the phone. My phone number is 435-817-8241, and you're welcome to reach out to me that way or go to the website, and I'd love to help if I can.
All right, well, thanks so much for your time today, Brad. Great having you on.